So regardless of whether you're a big time lifter, an amateur lifter, or you're just looking to get in better shape and stay in better shape, the one big problem that most of us are going to have, or it's going to occur sometime in our life, is shoulder pain. And that comes from all kinds of different reasons. But what I have found with lifters and normal people is usually it's a posture problem. Either in the neck or the thoracic spine, sometimes even the lumbar can cause the issues. But the big thing is that there are some key exercises that you can do no matter what your goals are, what your sport is, or even if you're just a businessman that's just looking to have better posture and no shoulder pain. There are some key exercises that you can do that are going to make your shoulders not only bulletproof but pain-free. One of the first big exercises that I've used since I was in my teens is a face pull. Now you can do this with a cable, a band, all kinds of shit. But I'm going to show you, and I like to use bands more often because you have to squeeze harder at the back part. So this is just a normal green band. What I'm going to do is back away till I got a little bit of tension on it, and I'm going to pull it right to my eyebrows, keeping my elbows kind of elevated. Now if I focus, I'm going to be squeezing those rear delts, rhomboids, and a little bit of upper back, lower trap. Now the thing with this is you want to kind of keep your head at least neutral and not lean into it too much. Now what this exercise is going to do is going to counter all of the anterior pressure that you do in your workouts, and even if you're not a big workout guy, it's going to counter the anterior pressure that you deal with at your desk. So if you're having shoulder pain and you can't figure out why, because I don't do a lot of front work, gravity does it to you over time. You don't see the 80-year-old lady walking in the grocery store and she looks like this because she used to be a big ass bencher. Gravity pushed her that way. So when you do a lot of anterior work and pec work and things of that nature, you're going to have to fight gravity tenfold. And that's why I always say a 2-to-1 back ratio. But the face pull is one of the gold standard exercises to do that with. The next one is a reverse incline pinky up Y raise. I love to use this one on off days, but even if you're not a big weight guy, this one right here will help your posture, help having neck. If you get a lot of headaches and neck pain and shoulder pain, this will actually help that tremendously. So what I do is I lean over the incline bench, I turn my pinkies up, and then I do a Y raise. So I'm almost making a Y. This is really going to attack that rear delt, and it's going to counter a lot of the anterior pressure that I'm going to get from bench pressing or just daily life. But this one is good, and I like to use it for at least 12, if not 15 or more reps. So don't do it real heavy. Do it for a lot of reps. The next one I'm going to show you is a reverse incline scapular retraction. So a lot of times shoulder pain comes because your shoulders start to slowly roll forward, creating a lot of impingement issues, and that comes from not having a very strong upper back. This is a great exercise to actually pull away the bicep and not let the bicep help. So what I find when people do back work is if they have a tendency to do a lot of bicep direct work or isolation work, back work becomes bicep work and the back kind of doesn't get as much work as it should. This exercise will almost ensure that doesn't happen. Pinch, release. So you see, I'm not really using any bicep at all. It's just all taking my shoulder blades and trying to pinch somebody's fingers in my shoulder blades. This is a great exercise for shoulder pain and posture correction. The next one is kind of a bench press specific internal external rotation. I love this exercise to control the bench press of where I want to put that bar and control the supra and infraspinatus, but this exercise is good for no matter what you do. So what you do is take this all the way flat. You can do this on the ground and come all the way back. Then all the way the other way. You can notice that my elbows don't come off of the bench. I force those small muscles to have to stay engaged, and everyone is weak in this. If you are a very strong bencher, you should be able to do these with 50s for sets of 10. If you're very weak and you're not very heavily trained, doing these with 5s will not be fun or easy. So remember, make sure that these little muscles are getting just as much attention as the big muscles, because once you tear one of these, it's going to be really, really hard to get that shoulder integrity back, regardless of whether you have surgeries or not. Another key point that I want to really take home is that make sure if you're having a lot of shoulder pain that you start to avoid direct bicep work for a few weeks and see if your pain goes away. The bicep tendon runs right underneath the anterior delt, and a lot of times bicep tendon inflammation is often misguided as shoulder pain. So I do find that I've seen a lot of people come in and have extreme shoulder pain. I get them to stop doing a lot of bicep work and the shoulder pain magically goes away. Don't underestimate the power of training too many biceps on your shoulder pain. Now the next one is a cable-driven rear delt fly. Sometimes you got to do exercises that just completely isolate the rear delt, and that can be hard to do. The rear delt muscle is helped by all the muscles around it. It's very hard to isolate. But in this exercise, it's very possible to really hit that rear delt hard. So you keep an arm straight and pull it right across to your nose and then right back. Keeping your arm pretty neutral and not letting your elbow bend. Getting a big stretch back this way and pulling through this way. This exercise will really isolate the rear delt. It'll get a little bit of the rhomboid and trap, but if you can focus on that rear delt, it's going to make that rear delt insanely strong and insanely stable. And that's the whole point. The back side of the body, especially in the back side of the shoulder, are all stability muscles, and you can only lift what you can stabilize. And if you're having shoulder pain, then a lot of times it's those muscles need caught up with the front ones. The pec and anterior delt are very, very used, very, very much, meaning that the rear side needs almost double the work just based on the fact that gravity is already pulling you forward. So if you're doing a lot of pec flies and a lot of anterior work and a lot of stuff that you can see in the mirror, make sure you're working on the stuff you can't see in the mirror. I use the Ultranim and BCAAs when I'm training, both pre and during training, to make sure that my energy level stays super high while I'm getting fatigued or while I'm in a calorie deficit. So in this video on shoulder pain, you learned a lot of exercises that will correct the issues that are being caused either acutely or in the past. But don't ever underestimate bicep training as being the corporate problem of your actual shoulder pain, and make sure that you're always putting posture ahead of everything else that you're training, and that will give you longevity and make sure that your joints are going to heal and not get beat up so bad.